In the way of music. A special guest for me today, a longtime friend, Mr. Brian Keith. I've got to see you, Brian. I am glad that you're here, brother. Before we even get started, I want to show you something, and we'll show the audience out there too.
Oh, look.
This is Mr. Brian Keith, out of control.
I'm not out of control.
You're not out of control anymore?
No, never.
And it's a signed copy. Look right there. Don't
oh,
hang.
My gosh. How many years ago? That had to be 100 years ago. Let me see that.
There you go.
What did I even write?
Well,
it
was nice.
Hank, and don't you come back no more. That's not what it says. It says, Hank, good luck, man. In the future, thanks, Brian Keith.
We've known each other for quite a few years, man.
We used to work together.
You handed me that back in the 90s.
I remember that.
It's been in my collection ever since.
How about that? Man, I'm impressed. I thought you might have tossed it out the window or something like that.
No, man. I held on to it,
That's
brother.
really cool, man.
That's something, man. Well, when you said you was gonna come by, I said, "Oh, I got to pull this out."
He surprised me with that. I wasn't expecting it. Totally ad lib.
Well, the title of this show is Mr. Brian Keith. Is there anything special you want to start with, my friend? Is there something you'd like to talk about first?
Yes, I do. Just before I got here, I had a call from my booking agency, 05 Entertainment, and Mr. Daryl Kuykendall. Mm-hmm. And So Long Emily is released nationally to radio stations around the United States, I guess, And so the video was released back in January, and I think today we were going to pass 9,000 hits on the video. So
cool.
He feels very optimistic about the single, so we'll see where it goes. There's no guarantees, but we'll see what happens.
Who I am and what I am, I watched that video all the way through, buddy. So you had my attention through it too.
Good, so appreciate that.
It was very well put together.
Thank you so much.
So I got to ask this though: is that your Trans Am?
That is my Trans Am.
Oh,
that's my Trans Am. Now the jet's not my jet. I don't.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, I don't have $300 million, but
not yet.
Not yet. Hopefully. That'll come, but there's no guarantee. But I wouldn't buy that anyway. It's not practical, but it was good looking in that video.
Maybe a nice bus, but not that jet.
Maybe a nice bus, yeah. a nice Prevost motor coach would be really cool.
Well, you know what, brother? I'll tell you right now, from the bottom of my heart, it makes me feel just awesome that I know somebody that's doing that, and that's coming together for you.
Appreciate that. Hank.
God's blessing on you for that.
Yes, He is, and it couldn't be done without Him.
All right. Well, anything else you want to share with us?
Now let's go down the list,
all
man.
Right. Well, I think you know how this works. If you've seen some of the podcast, everybody kind of knows that. I have a list of questions here, and now, they're not written in stone. It's more just to kind of, what you've been doing, Brian. Where you been, and what are some of the things that you've seen and experienced, and maybe you can share some things with our viewers that if you stop and think, this might work for you, or I'd stay away from that, however it works out, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's shoot from the hip. Let's go.
Shooting from the hip. I like it, boy. You're in cowboy country with that,
I'm in
right?
Texas, man. I'm in Texas.
All right. Well, my friend, how and when did you start? How long you been doing this?
My God, we started this. My son was about a year old. He just turned 30.
Uh-huh.
So a long time.
Yeah.
But I took a break, as you know.
Yeah.
Or you will know. We hit this pretty hard back in the 90s when we were trashing everything, Not really trashing, but you know what I mean, just having a good time. And then did the road thing and had some good success. Got the CD did it done and done. Got it did and done.
You're in the right spot.
Yeah, we got it all did. And I can say that and get away with it here. But so we got the CD done, and let me back up a bit, because it took a lot of work to put this together. I got to give credit to Nicole Stanley. Mm-hmm. She's my publicist, and she arranged all the musicians, all the studios, the vocal coaching with Miss Kim Woodson-Dusky out of Nashville, which everybody still goes to. And I started with Kim here in Houston, and she migrated to Nashville.
Okay.
And she opened the old Javelina Studios, and that's her studio for vocal coaching today. And she does them all. She does Destiny Child, Beyonce, a lot of gospel Christian artists, all the major country artists, from Reba to George to Clay Walker.
Vocal coaching.
Yes, vocal coaching.
Okay.
And that is critical. If you're going to last in this business, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, you better get you some great technique, find you a good vocal coach. If you're going to end up doing 60 songs a night, you better know how to do it technique-wise, and you ain't going to make it.
Better be working them muscles right, huh?
Yeah, I mean, or if you don't, you're going to end up with pileups on your vocal cords, because those vocal cords are so sensitive. And if you're going to retain or maintain your youthful voice, you got to know how to control it on stage.
Right.
It's all breathing and pushing the right way. Because if you don't, you end up with an old man smoker's voice, so to speak.
I resemble that remark. I really don't.
I'm kidding. But, and I'm not saying that to be insulting. I'm saying that you want to protect your instrument.
Okay.
And it's going to take a lot of effort from you to do that.
All right. So vocal coaching is going to be something you're going to tell us more about here in a minute. But so you said in the early 90s is when you started?
Yeah, like 93,
Okay.
94, something like that.
Well, how about this? What influenced you to do this? Is this something that just, you woke up one day or did something prompt you, or what brought you to this point of wanting to do this?
2 words.
All right, let's hear
George Strait.
it. George Strait. You think he influenced a few folks?
I think he influenced a few.
Okay.
I mean, you can ask Garth Brooks right now. Even now,
Okay.
he still wants to be George Strait.
Oh, my goodness.
He'll even tell you that, But I'm being funny, but really, he was my biggest inspiration to want to sing country music. But my father was always a singer in the family, and he never did the band or anything. He sang around the house. So I guess it's instilled from me from my father.
Yeah, your first influence is your family.
Yeah, absolutely. And my uncles, they were all kind of musically inclined, but they never did anything with it. They would whistle or sing at a barbecue or something like that. And I guess I'm probably the only one that really pursued it in my family as a potential career,
Right.
so to speak. So
Yeah.
I guess it comes from Dad.
Well, that, like I've said before, our stories are familiar, but none of them are going to be exactly the
No, they're
same. But
not.
a lot of people, they see somebody and they want to, emulate. They want to be part of that. They want to have that in their life. But at the same time, there's always that roots. Where do the roots come from? A lot of people learn it in church. They get that first movement in church, and they hear the noise, and then off they go. And just everybody has to, it starts you out someplace. So
There's an atom that burst somewhere. In
Somewhere.
all of us that ignites a fusion. And,
Okay. Well, so this discussion or this podcast, long range is we're trying to look at let's just call it the inner workings, the local, and I don't want to sound local in this area, because what we're talking about here is the same thing that happens all across America, in every state, every city, practically.
Yeah.
You have your people that are out there making music and doing music and living in an industry that doesn't get a lot of attention. And my hopes is that we bring that, to the forefront, right? And really give people, their credence for what they do. And, because there's some people that have lived in this from day one.
Sure.
There's guys that, like some of us, have had to work in other factions and, management and things like that. And then you step in and do what you can. And of course, you might get called to another job, right?
Yeah.
Right. We know how that works.
Absolutely.
But having this discussion about your local scene, hometown, homespun, who do you feel really influences that to its greatest degree?
Well, if you tag into the local scene, you build a collaboration with these artists around town, and we feed off each other's energy.
Okay.
That's secondary energy. The first energy are from our major stars,
Yeah.
and our second energy comes from our collaboration with our local artists around town. And
Okay.
also,
That's a good. I love that answer.
yeah.
I love that.
I mean, if you don't have that, I'm gonna call it the family.
Yeah.
We're highly competitive with and against each other.
But we love each other.
But that's the love of it. We always want, this is competition. Singing and playing and records and radio and gigging, it's it's all a competition. Who can outdo each other? I mean, that's why you got music charts. Who's outdoing each other? But it's all done with love, and it's all done with respect.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I think
I love
my
your answer, man.
goes that way.
I do. I love that
Thank
answer.
you.
That's a good one. So, what, and I have to ask this question because this question really goes out in so many different ways. But what is your contribution to this industry?
Well, here again, it's a contribution of just giving it everything you got, And I looked at that question. I'm thinking, what is my contribution? And if you dig and dive deep enough, you're thinking, well, I haven't done anything really. But at the end of the day, if you peel back the first layer of the surface, it's like everything you do, from rehearsing to laying in bed at night thinking of your next lyrics and melody to your next song that nobody ever knows until you throw it out there.
Right.
And that goes for 1,000 of us.
And every bit of that, you're paving way for other artists to come and use you as an example or understand how things
Just
work.
like I have examples, somebody's going to look up to me one day and say, oh, that guy influenced me.
There you go.
Or maybe did not influence me, but something he did in that particular lyric, in that particular song, with that particular melody, that inspired me to pick up the guitar, or that inspired me to become a country western singer, or a gospel singer, or rock, or rhythm and blues, or whatever your genre is.
Right.
That particular thing inspired me.
There you go. Well, and I know that you doing the band thing, and I asked this next question about collaboration, and you throw the magic word out a minute ago, right? So
I love that word.
That's a good word, right?
It's a good word.
So collaboration to me, hey, if you've got somebody toting in your equipment, you're collaborating with that folks. A lot of people, their first thing their mind goes to is songwriting. Okay, well that's true, but at the same time, so what would you speak to that word or that situation of collaboration? What would be on your mind about that?
Group effort.
Group effort, Okay.
Group effort. It doesn't extend past group. Group explains everything.
There
That's
you
the
go.
bubble.
Yeah.
Group collaboration, group effort, group camaraderie, group sequencing. Whether you're eating dinner, chewing each other out, practicing, rehearsing.
Yeah.
It's all that. It's all that.
It's an important part, isn't it?
It's an important part. Without that, nothing else happens.
I realize that some of these questions, they might seem like, well, yeah, of course, well, but you got to stop and think. When you walk through this industry, you'll find many people that first thing, no, I don't collaborate. They do their thing when they want, and that's okay. It's however you want to walk through this. So
you pick and choose.
There you go.
Pick and choose. And I look at it like this, if you're going to make it in any industry, whether construction, music, commercial, industrial, aeronautics, you're never going to make it by yourself.
No, bless
you
your
have
heart.
A team.
Bless your heart.
There's a team involved, and if you don't become that team, you're out.
Right.
Because you're going to get titled and go, oop.
Don't need you around.
Don't throw him in the gumbo. It won't taste good. It won't taste good.
All right. Well, so now this one is a Mr. Brian Keith Call. Your biggest success, or and I don't like the word failure. I'm probably going to take this out of the question, but it is in a way. But we're going to call it the biggest success, or the biggest possibly missed opportunity that speaks to your heart.
I can answer that.
Come on, baby. Give me what you got.
My biggest success story, I would think, is first getting the CD done.
Right.
That was some effort, buddy.
Yeah, it is.
The secondary success, I would think, was having the opportunity to open shows for like Tracy Lawrence, Clay Walker, Trace Atkins, Martina McBride, Jody Messina. And I know I'm going backwards, but guess what? They're still at it. They're still doing it, and they're successful at it. They're selling out. And so that's kind of all of a success story for me, to knowing that what you're doing is getting some kind of attention,
right,
and it's appreciated to be asked to do that.
Great.
Because if you're out there slamming it, I mean, just killing it every night, and nobody says that, and you think, well, am I really doing it wrong? Am I doing it right? Am I great, or do I suck, or what's going on?
It's a validation.
It's a validation of accomplishment.
Yeah.
And so as a biggest failure, and I don't look at this as a failure. I look at it more as a missed opportunity.
That's what I feel.
That I didn't miss, and I'll tell you why. As we were about to talk to the labels after this,
Yeah.
it got some pretty good attention in Nashville and Music Row, and we were at the opportunity where, you know, we were talking. Curb Records was one of them, BMI, and I want to say MCA, but nothing was final yet. But I was at a crossroads where I had 2 young sons, and my lovely wife, Lori, which is still married, 38 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And I was my back was up against the wall, but not in a bad way, in a good way. So I was under the what's the good word I can use here? I was under I don't want to say word guilt, but under the impression that I can sign the nice big contract and make millions and gazillions of dollars and sell lots of records and sell out auditoriums and stuff like that. Or I can toss it, take a reprieve and a break, raise my sons, all 3 of my sons, and never miss a memory, hang on to my wife, because, you know, in this business it's hard to hold a wife.
Right.
Because things happen on the road and it's not always pleasant. I'm being real here.
Yeah.
So I made a decision to step back from the table and capture every memory with my family. And then no regrets. I won.
Yeah.
I won. However you look at it, I won because I still have my family. I have every memory that we ever did together. And all my sons are Eagle Scouts. You know, that's when your son gets to be an Eagle Scout, the parents earn that too, because that's collaboration, and it's hard work, man. I'm telling you, you might as well get a college degree if you got an Eagle Scout.
Well, let me tell you something. You just changed my mind. That wasn't a missed opportunity. No, that was your biggest success so far. So.
I think so. It feels like a missed opportunity, but then again, I go, no, it really wasn't. So, but nothing ever bad really has happened to me. You know, to be honest with you, in the music business, it's all good. It's all been good. You know.
I'm not going to take away from anything that you said, but well, my mind is just sitting here racing, Brian, because you know, you and I have known each other, like I said, all of these years,
Right.
And at just about the same time, I had a lot of stuff going on too. I was going to Vegas and playing and doing stuff.
I remember you talking about it.
Yeah, and you know, and I married Diane, and we're 32 years
There
together.
you go, man.
So,
Congratulations.
but it was almost the same story, brother. And you know what? Music is great. I love music, but when it comes to that family and those kids and stuff, so
They're going to be with you when it's all over.
I feel your heart, brother. So
Yeah.
God bless you.
Your even stars, and I guess that's why they call them stars, because you look out in the cosmos, our sun, for instance, is 4 billion years old. There's 4 billion years of that left, okay, at least. But at the end of the day, the star is going to fall.
Yeah.
It's going to explode to a red giant, and then it's going to collapse to a black hole. And that can be said for every one of us, every entertainer that's ever been a star. They rise,
And they fall.
they fall, or they limber, and then they fall and diminish. Maybe they don't. The only one I could say had a really good lasting career, that I'm always going to come back to George. He started at his early 20s in college, I guess. Became a band for the U.S. Army in Hawaii. Pursued the career in Nashville, and he's been hitting it for, my God, he's 70 now.
Well,
And he still sells out everywhere.
you know, I know some people that know, you know, that kind of thing, but I've never actually shook the man's hand or actually talked to him.
Me neither.
But I will say this: the one thing that comes across for me with George Strait, and I know with others, and I can see where you would look up to him, but the sincerity the man puts out there and in his heart and who he is and how he is. I mean, that's real life right there. So
You never hear anything bad from George. I mean, that's why I think people gravitate to that.
yeah,
You know, it's because he's such a good person.
got a good heart.
Yes.
All right, well, let's move on to the next part. So this is going to be another Mr. Brian Keith call. What's your funniest
Oh.
or your saddest story? Which one
Oh,
speaks to
my
your heart the most?
God. This is the funniest, and the saddest. And I will
All
share
same
it
time.
all at the same time. I remember we was doing a cook-off dance for the Houston Livestock Show Rodeo, which today is Go Texan Day.
Wow.
It's Houston Livestock Show Rodeo, so it's appropriate to bring this up. We were doing a show in North Shore, and I forget the cooking team, who it was, or the Houston Livestock Show Committee. I can't remember who it was, but my band always does 3 warm-up songs to get the crowd involved.
Right.
And it also gives the sound man a good time to set everything before I get up there. Then all he's got to do is tweak me. But so, Big John Mills.
Oh, I love that
Yeah,
band.
you know Big John.
I know Big John.
He also wrote Texas Nights on here, by the way.
Oh, did he?
Yes, he
I
did.
did not know that.
Absolutely, he did.
I love singing in front of John.
Yeah, Big John's solid gold, and he's still just as good as he ever was.
Well, me and not to interrupt you, but I've been kind of hitting me and John been hitting back and
Okay.
forth, and so I think we're gonna get him in here too. So.
You need to get him in here. You know,
Okay.
he was Texas musician 3 years.
I love that man.
So here's the story, and I could have killed him, and I loved him at the same time. But oh my God! So I'm getting ready to go on stage, and there's a Sprite right here. This is the funniest and saddest moment, by the way. I ain't got nothing sadder. Sorry, I still cringe. So to this day, so there's a Sprite can there, and there's a Sprite can here. One's his,
Oh no.
and one's mine.
Oh no.
Yes, you know where I'm going with this.
Oh no.
And Big John is a dipper.
Yes, he is.
He's a dipper.
Oh no.
And I get ready to go on stage, and I'm trying to get his attention, and he's doing a riff, and he's not looking at me, and I'm 10 seconds from going on stage, and I need to hydrate because I left my water somewhere else. And I knew one of those 7-Ups or Sprites were mine. I went, eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Oh no.
And my cue is banging up. It's coming up. We're getting ready to bring me on stage. And I said, oh, well. Picked it up, glunked it, and it was not 7-Up. And I'm not going to gross you up, but you can imagine what that was.
No, that's.
And so what did I do? I didn't even have time, Hank, to spit it out. I just had to swallow it.
Oh.
And Coy, my drummer, Coy Sloan, Kelly Walker, and Big John were all looking at me. And when they saw that look on my face, I knew I grabbed the wrong. They knew exactly what they was, and they were laughing so hard. And they were laughing at me because I was turning pink and blue.
Matching your brush popper, huh?
Oh my God! Because Big John said, and I think he did this on purpose. Instead of going around with a few more bars,
Yeah.
and I think my intro song was Unwound, and you can keep looping Unwound. You know?
Right.
But he's saying, ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome Nashville recording artist Brian Keith. I went, glup. And I went, oh my God. And what's the first lyrics of that song? Give me a bottle.
You needed one at that point,
And
right?
I needed one. And man, halfway through that song, I said, somebody bring me a bottle of water quick. So
Oh my goodness. Well,
the show must go on, and that's a prime example. So,
well, I promise that if I get John in here and he comes in for this podcast, I won't ask him about that more than twice. So.
I don't know if he'll remember it, but buddy, I'll never forget it. I can promise you that.
All right, well, golly, what a story. That's what we want to hear, man. We just want to hear how those real life things happen.
That was real life, and the crowd never knew it, and they don't need to.
I got to wipe my eyes on that one. Golly. All right. So, moving on after that. And this could probably fall up for this question too. But
Okay.
now, I ask this question because it's one of those questions to me, it's like, man, I just wish I could change that. So what I tell everybody is of course, in your case, we'll call it the Cowboy King hat. But if I put the King's hat on you for a day, what upsets you about what we do, and what would you, if you could just make a change that you think would benefit other folks, what would you do?
I would like to see radio pay more attention to local artists.
Yeah.
I think the door for some point, and please correct me if I'm wrong, has been shut. And there's so much talent out there that never gets recognized.
Yeah.
Nashville gets about 10 artists that they loop through the radio. Hey, great, that's awesome. But my God, and I'm going to use American Idol. America's Got Talent. Look at all that talent there that's been unexplored and tapped into.
Yeah.
That's not being recognized by mainstream. So I would really love to see local artists have a preview or an episode where they just highlight us more. I know there's some of them that do that, but I'm talking major market recognition.
Yeah.
You know, not small market. And God respect everybody out there from medium and small market. But I just think it would do so much more for music and open up so much potential and listening potential. Not
Some
just
kind of a
article potential.
platform that people can get in on, and
Yes.
and
I know there's social media, and that's awesome, and it's helped me a lot.
yeah.
But I'm talking about mainstream radio, and put these local artists that have great songs, you know, filter it just like you do
Right.
the national
Got to
stuff.
vet it. You have to
Gotta vet it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's got to be clear, and it's got to be good. It's got to have a good mix. It's got to be engineered right. You got to have the best musicians, the best sound. And if it checks all the boxes, man, play that stuff.
Give it a shot.
Play that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't care if I was bigger than Garth. I would still say the same thing. Give these guys attention that they deserve. 'Cause
Yeah.
they've been doing it all their lives, you know. So,
I'm totally with you, brother.
That's what I'd like to hear.
I'm totally with you.
And plus, I'd like to hear more fiddle and steel and music. You know?
Got to have fiddle in the band,
Gotta
right?
have a fiddle in the band. I won't walk on stage without a fiddle or steel.
Well, so speaking of fiddle in the band, you know a fellow by the name Todd Parsons?
I know the name, but I don't know him.
Okay. Well, Todd's another friend of mine, and pretty good fiddler. So
Okay. I may give him a call.
let me know.
Give me his information. I like to have about
You
3 or
hear that,
4.
Todd? I'm going to hook you up, brother.
I'm going to be calling you, so get ready. Let me give you your email, and I'll send you my set list.
There you go.
Yeah.
You got you a fiddling job,
All
Todd.
right, buddy.
All
You
right.
better be good.
Yeah, well, he's pretty good. He's
kidding.
pretty good.
I know you are.
Oh, so this next question, and some people can speak to this, and I know that you can, and I know I can, and some others. But, you know, we're in this industry market, we find out that there are organizations out there that we're going to have to be part of. And, you know, and I throw the quickies out there, the BMI, ASCAP, CSAC,
Yep.
you know, those things like that. You've got Texas Country Music Association. You've got the Country Music Associations. So I'd kind of like for you to speak to what organizations are you involved with, and how do you feel like that's kind of really brought you along? Or if it's something that you feel like, what's, you know, I don't know.
Well, you know, I pull songs from BMI and ASCAP.
Do you?
Yeah. And I don't consider myself a great songwriter. I'm more of a lyricist, I guess you could put it there. But I always put a melody in my head first. But I would rather, because we're kind of all in this together, right? Here's where I'm going with this. If I'm pulling from BMI and ASCAP and I'm listening to hundreds or thousands of songs just to get 8 or whatever, if there's a starving artist out there, you know, and I got to keep going back to George, you know, if I'm making a good living at music and I can provide and help that other songwriter that his kids and family are putting everything they got into his songwriting effort, and that's his job. If the song is a good enough hit and radio's playing it and spinning it, guess what? He gets paid for that.
Right.
And so if I can prevail, heck, man, let's make it all. Let's make everybody that has their dreams laying on the table fulfilled. I'm all for that, and I will continue to do that way because there's so much more better stuff out there that I could ever possibly write. So I'm all about helping that bubble.
So BMI for sure. Are there any others that you touch
ASCAP,
base?
like I said. And,
ASCAP, got
yeah. And I don't know the other ones right off.
It's well, like I said, you got CSAC, and I know there's, you know, the reason I want to know, or I ask these questions about it, is because, you know, even though we might be, you know, sitting across the table from each other, our reaches in other markets and other places, you know, and I know that and I have some in Nashville, and I know you have some in Nashville, but those people will bring you along and say, well, you know, if you'll look at these, you know, country music associations and be part of that. So that's kind of where I'm looking to find out, well, what association works the best and how to use it. But just like you said, BMI. So
BMI, ASCAP, and I know there's other, and I'm not saying I'm limited to only those two.
yeah.
It's whoever's got the best song for what we're trying to do to set forth an application on radio. That's where we're going to chase.
10-4. All right. So this next question, and like I say in every video, and I'll continue to say because it's exactly how it feels, is I call this cutting through the fog, right? We have the abilities for recording, but how you make a decision on how you want to record and what you want to do. You have publishing companies, you have management companies, you have agencies.
Right.
I mean, you have so many business and or vendor interactions. What would you speak to that? How would you say, well, looking at, recording, this is how I do that, or publishing, this is what I would do, or just whatever comes to mind.
Yeah, that's tough. And so, I mean, if you got a CD, anybody, if you're looking at a song on your CD and it goes for any orders, and that's just for one song. If you look at it, for example, I bet you if I pull this jacket out, I hope I don't tear it.
Don't you tear my CD up.
I mean, if you look at it, right now I'm looking at probably 30 names, okay, just to record one song.
Right.
That's just recording. So in the process of getting that, guess what? It's got to be charted. It's got to be arranged. Musicians have to be found. They have to learn it. Okay, so let's just say that's all done now.
Okay, but let me stop you there. What did you do to make, or what? How did that happen?
Okay, I'm gonna bring the name up again. Nicole Stanley.
Okay.
She's my publicist.
Okay.
And she did all the arrangements to get this whole group together, which that's what a publicist does. They just don't write articles around you. So don't get misconstrued there.
Right.
But she did all that work, and once that's all done, guess what? It's got to be mixed.
Yeah.
And then it's got to be mastered.
Right.
And then it has to be printed. Then it's got to go for manufacturing. And then it's got to go for distribution. So if you got one song and if you do it on a professional level, that's going to go out everywhere. It's got to be done right.
Yeah.
Or nobody's going to pay attention to it.
Right.
And they're going to throw it in the circle file, which is a trash can.
Right.
So probably 100 people have to touch that.
So are you using booking agents, or is that something that you're using now?
Yes. I use a wonderful fellow by the name of Mr. Daryl Kirkendall, and he is the owner of O5 Entertainment right here in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
And he's the driving force to getting So Long Emily pushed out to radio today, February 24th, 2023.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I knew that you had a lot going on in this realm. So thanks for answering that question.
I hope it's the right answer.
It is. Well, there's no wrong answer in all of this. This is Brian Keith's story. You get
my story.
It's your story. You get to tell us what how this works. Okay. So I'm going to ask you this question too. And you mentioned a little bit about it there a second ago, and this is actually a big one in my world, that some of the things that I do. But where do you stand with media and marketing strategies yourself? How do you look into that, or what gets you through the
media and marketing? Those are two simple words and easy to spell, but there's a ton of work to make all that move.
Yes, there is.
I mean, you can see a D10 bulldozer, but if you don't know how to start it and put it in gear and what it takes to move that thing, you ain't pushing it. I don't care how hard you push it.
And getting through some of this stuff is like pushing that D10.
It is. So that being said, in a metaphor, you got to have the right people in place that has the right motivation, not just people, that has the motivation for your benefit, okay? Know who to contact.
Mm-hmm.
Know how to follow up, know how to push through the process once it's moving, and then what's next. It never ends.
There is so much out there right now, and I spend a good amount of my time, studying, and I mean it's all part of what we do, right? But to understand the processes that are out there right now, and you're right. We was talking the other day. It's like just continually driving that nail. You just try to keep driving it down, because
you never stop swinging the hammer.
You have from the whole spectrum of guys that are doing what you're doing and to the level that you're doing, but at the same time, you've got the individual artist or the indie artist, and we were laughing and cutting up the other day. There was a comment about I was watching a video, and this girl, I mean, she looked like she's probably 19, right? Mm-hmm. And then of course the comment was, well, how does she know all this? These young folks know how to get through this.
They got the media figured out.
They do.
The thing about social media, if you're not posting stuff almost daily, you're falling behind.
Yeah, you are.
And I've got to learn to get better at that. by myself. And I'm getting better, but I don't have it all figured out. I know how to do it, but it's a matter of getting the motivation to stop, film, post.
Yep.
Stop, film, post. You know.
You just, buddy, and I say this in a lot of videos, that's a diamond, and you just shared a diamond with a lot of people, because I'm gonna tell you right now,
Don't stop.
what you just said is very important, people. If you're wanting to have a media or a marketing strategy, spend a little time with it and learn how to do what he just said, because it is very important.
And if you don't,
nobody else will.
yeah, nobody else will.
Right.
Because what's going to happen if you don't have the motivation to do it, you're not going to last. Nobody's going to know you. And if you pay people to watch what you're doing, and you have a show and you got 100,000 followers, and you told the club owner, said, "Look, I got 100,000 followers. They're all going to come here." And next thing you know, you paid all these people to watch your video, and only 5 people show up. Guess what? You're in trouble, and you ain't coming back. So that's why. You have to do it frequently.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to do it, then you're going to have to pay somebody to do it for you.
And know the difference between bot traffic and live traffic.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, we won't beat that horse, because it's a big old horse to beat, buddy. I guarantee.
You'll get stampeded. You will.
Well, let's talk about changes in this industry,
Okay.
and where do you see it going? Back when in the 90s, when you and I were doing what we were doing, it was a different world back then, and there has been many changes. But kind of where do you see things going from here on?
For me, I'm kind of in the middle of the road about how to predict what's going to happen. I see where it's at right now, but where is it going to go? And I think the next artist who has that next big hit will tell you where it's going to go. And, if we look at Taylor Swift, for example, she was an 18-year-old kid breaking out and was just blown away that she got self-recognized. And now she has crossed over. She's got so much attention, and media backed her up so hard. So she's moved over to, I guess, the pop genre, so to speak. But country radio's still playing her. So I'm seeing more country artists cross over. Jason Aldean's one. Hasn't completely crossed over, because he's got country, and he's a country rock artist to me. There's an audience for everything and everybody. So where it goes, man, I welcome wherever it goes. Predicting, I can't predict where it's going to go, but I can see what's happening now and say, oh, that's pretty cool. I wish them the best, and I wish them the biggest audience, and I wish them the most success wherever it goes.
Well, I'm gonna throw. I know I asked you the question, but since we're sitting here talking about this, just friendly chat amongst ourselves. One of the things that I've seen, and if you're paying attention, you will, is that we've talked about syndication and the labels and everything back in earlier days, but now you talk about the platforms, the media platforms and such, and the strength that they have. You got to wonder, well, where can it go from here? So that's
sky's the limit. It's going to be the next person who creates the next best social media platform. Oh my gosh! That I don't think anybody can predict.
Yeah, it's going to be wild.
Who's going to have the next weirdo name for social media? I don't know.
Everything changes. So
it all changes.
So we'll see what happens.
I think not too long ago. Remember when MySpace was out?
Yeah.
Oh my God, nothing's bigger.
Right.
Well, guess what knocked them? Facebook.
Oh, golly.
Facebook took over. So
Facebook.
Something's always going to happen. There's one thing consistent in life, and that's change. Everything's going to change. It's just that's a natural progression of life.
There you go. So, as a performer, what do you do that you feel really works for you? What are you putting out there for people to get a hold of?
CD wise or live performance?
Just live performance, whatever, man.
Okay,
whatever you think really you feel like that's the best place that you're connecting with your folks.
For me, it's let me back up a little bit so I can explain where I'm going with this. When I decided to, so to speak, throw the towel in, okay, I always knew, I guess I knew, that I was probably going to come back to the stage. So I took care of myself. I go to the gym 2 to 4, 5 times a week. I do my best to eat right. So for me, and me only, the impression of looking the best I can, sounding the best I can, dressing the best I can, and I think the crowd appreciates that. You know, that's for me. I'm not saying anybody else. That makes me feel good to take care of myself and look the best I can.
Investing in yourself.
Investing in myself.
So that you can give something back.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, not to sound egotistical or selfish,
No.
I am a product.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like a shiny new car. You're not going to go to the dealership and buy a beater. Right. You want something new that smells good. So I've got to look the best I think I can. I'm not trying to sound kind of weird or nothing like that, but it just works for me.
No, I totally get it, brother. I really do.
And I think the audience likes that too.
Yep. And that's a great answer. I've not had that one yet, but that makes great sense. And so you investing in yourself,
absolutely,
is you're actually giving all of what you can back to those that you're trying to perform for or be in front of.
Plus, it's a healthy choice.
Well, yeah, it really is.
It's a healthy choice. So.
Well, there you go. All right. Some more diamonds. Y'all better pick up on all this stuff, right? So you and I were discussing a little earlier, but how about you tell us about what your plans for the future are? I won't steal your thunder. You tell us what's going on.
Okay, the plans for the future is the immediate future, short-term goals, is that in April we're planning on cutting 3 more singles. I don't know what they are yet. Okay. We're going to be recording those in Georgia. We have some time blocked at the Grammy studio, the brand new Grammy studio. Nicole set all that up again. She's got that worked out. So I'm reviewing songs right now. So guys, if you got some hits out there, I need them. You know, Hank.
We got to go. We got to talk.
Because if So Long Emily hits, stuff's going to come my way. So get it to me as soon as you can, because I got to start bleeding through all these songs now to pick 3 good ones. So that's the short term goal. Long term goal is like any artist. They want longevity. Right. And the only way you're going to get longevity is great songs. That's it. So that's the long term.
Consistently. That's a big part of it.
You can't have a number 1 hit and then you have a chart topper that's 89
and disappear and then it
disappears and then the rest of it. So you got to be so selective, and at the end of it, you got to be stingy. I know that's a bad word, but you got to be stingy, and you got to be somewhat prude about. No, it's not right for me. Right. You know, it's a great song, but it will never fit my vocals. And it doesn't fit my character.
Well, if you don't know, nobody else is going to know.
I think I know about warning, but you never really know until you lay it down. And then at the end of the day, you say, oh, that song's a hit. It's not a hit until people tell you it's a hit. Right.
There you go. Great, man. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. Well, where are we going to see you next, my friend? Where are you going to pop up?
We got a couple dates coming up. We're still doing Turnaround Club in Pasadena. And then after that, Daryl Kirkendall from 05 Entertainment is taking a calendar. So he's loading it up right now, and he's not sharing it with me right now. So, Daryl, you got to let me know what's going on. But, no, I'm just kidding, buddy. I know what you're doing. And so that's the last one I booked from me. I'm turning it all over to the agency, and he's the man with the power. You know, he knows all the connections, so we're giving it all to him.
Well, so what's the best way that people can find you, see where this schedule ends up so they can get in touch with you?
You can find me on Facebook at Brian Keith, and The Sons of Buck is the name of my band, and there's a great story behind that name.
I know the man.
Yeah, I know you do. I hope y'all gonna know him too. So if you go, go on Facebook and look for Brian Keith, The Sons of Buck, you'll see me, and Daryl posts my calendar there. You can find me on TikTok at The Brian Keith and Instagram at Brian Keith. You know, we're trying to hit all the social medias, and you can Google me on YouTube. Look for me on YouTube at Brian Keith, So Long Emily, and that beautiful video pops up with that $300 million Falcon 7X and that beautiful Bandit Trans Am.
Where do you park that?
I keep that Trans Am. I know you're talking about that, but I keep the Trans Am in storage. You know, it only comes up pretty days. But if you Google Brian Keith and So Long Emily, just look it up. You can read articles about the song and me. It's everywhere. So just Google it and look it up, and it'll pop up. But there's also an actor called Brian Keith, and I'm not that guy. But I was named after him. You know?
Okay.
I was named after him.
Well, a lot of people don't know this, but my name Hank, that part of it, not the rest of it, but my mother was just infatuated with Hank Snow. So
there you go. There you go.
The Singing Ranger, right?
Which toured with Elvis when he first started.
Yes, he did. So describe your show for me. When we gonna come see you when we finally get out there? What are we gonna see? What your show look like?
My show is going to be wrapped around what you hear on the radio. If it doesn't sound exactly like you hear it on the radio,
Dance, listen, with
all of it.
all of it.
All
Okay.
of it.
All right.
I mean, because we're sticklers about having the right instrument, the right part, the right time. Because my biggest pet peeve is going to watch a band, God bless them, is me sitting there going, well, let me see what the singer is going to do before I can recognize the song. Oh, my God, I hate that. Guys, get out there and rehearse and learn your stuff and do it right, or you'll never be taken serious, okay? So you're going to hear good sound. You're going to hear good music. You're going to be able to dance to it all night long, you know. We play a lot of, all the way from 70s, 80s, 90s to some current stuff, you know. But it's all dance music.
Okay.
You know?
All right.
It's all dance music.
That's perfect. All right. So here's the $64,000 question. What is your advice to anyone that wants to get into this business? What would you say to them?
That's a simple answer.
Let me hear it, brother.
Hard ass work,
All right.
shared effort,
Okay.
and I'm going to quote Winston Churchill here. Never, 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 ever give up on your dream. Because my philosophy is the richest place on earth is probably a graveyard. Why do you ask me that question? Because I believe that most people die with their dreams still in them and never having the courage or the opportunity to pursue that given opportunity that God instilled in you. Because the last thing I want him to say to me when I get up there is, man, I put this dream in you and you just did nothing with it. So here you are, and I'm going to ask you, why didn't you do what I gave you the talent to do?
Right.
So when I walk up there, he's going to say, well, maybe you didn't win the Grammy or the CMA award, but you did what I put in you.
While you was doing what you was doing, I was hard at working. So thank you for doing what you did. Right.
Yeah,
That's what
right.
you want to hear. Right.
That's what I want to hear. So thank you for expressing your dream and getting rid of it. So I don't have to ask you about it.
I love it, brother. That's a great answer. I love
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, listen, Brian, you know what, man? I hug your neck anytime I see you.
Absolutely.
You've been a good friend all these years,
Yeah.
and I really appreciate you coming in and sitting on the podcast,
Absolutely.
being with
Thanks
us.
for having me.
Listen, man, I say this at every podcast, and I'm not being repetitive because I really mean it, because everybody I sit across, this table from, I want them to know what my heart is, and I want everybody around you to know how blessed they are to have you in their life.
Well, man, I
feel
appreciate
that way.
that. I don't take that for granted at any level.
Okay.
I really appreciate that, Hank.
Some positive affirmations, and I think is another important part of what we do is, this is something I speak to every video, is possibilities are endless. You know this.
Absolutely.
Your thoughts become your reality. And don't worry about the things you can't control. Now listen, we need your help. Doesn't really cost much to click a button or two. And so if you're watching these videos and you're following Brian, you're following the podcast, you're following me, whatever it is that gets you here, help us get others here. What we need you to do is hit that like and subscribe button. I've said in other video or podcasts rather that I don't put it up front, because my hope and expectation and want is that you're here at this part of the video. So this is where I ask. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notifications. But most of all, as Brian has said, and you've heard us say in other podcasts, what we're doing, we're a family. You need to watch out for your family. These people come to this table. I'm giving this opportunity to them so that they can tell their story. They can really get their information out there. But what you can do to help Brian, others, is to share, spread the word, hit those buttons, click those buttons, but get the word out there for us, okay? So as far as I'm concerned, brother, I think this podcast is a wrap.
Yeah, I think so.
And I just can't wait to talk to Mr. John Mills about a Sprite. That's all I.
Oh, I can guarantee you, I'll look at my bottles before I get on stage.
Well, we're going to go. Thank you. Appreciate you being here for the podcast. Y'all take care out there, and most of all, God bless you.
God bless.
All right.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Dew on the roses and the sun's coming.